Hi everybody and welcome to Tip of the Week number 104. This tip of the week is going to be about the circulation carousel pallet system and how you can do that in Impact. So basically, instead of having normal tables or beds for my hollow core slabs, then we can actually create a whole circulation system. And in order to begin, of course, this is not for everybody. If you have an automated circulation system in your factory, then of course you will know everything about it and how it works and how the different the different pallets, the different workstations work, and that the pallet basically, you start the pallet from up here and you are going, moving to different stations in the software until you reach the curing chamber where the elements are being cured until they are ready to be demolded and moved directly to your storage location and of course your stacks and your transport areas. So basically, this picture here describes that, and in order to be able to see it in the system, I will just go directly into Impact, and you can see here that in my case I have created cast units, which I'll show you in the end, that they are not actually tables or beds. Any of you who has made the setting in the software knows what a table and a bed is and what it represents, but it is actually, a pallet. And what is the difference now? You will tell me this is a bed, an element is going to be placed on it, it's going to be in 3D, you're going to have the whole space, and you're going to see everything. So what I've done here is I have visited a few Formslab factories, and that's why I have a little bit more experience in the Formslab rather than the wall circulation system. So I will take the Formslabs that I have in this model, and you will see that I am on the transport status, so you can see which ones are transported together and so on and so forth. And I will show you a little bit when I try to multicast, when I try to autocast, what is the difference between a normal table and bed and what is the difference between the circulation system. So select my elements, come here, and now you can see here that I actually have all of my transports and my stack numbers, and I can actually, try to do something very clever here. I can try to put on the pallets the elements that they are according to the stack number and the loading number. So if I take the stack number here, you will see that those elements now are going to be placed as close as possible in the pallets. Also, you see the window here looks a little bit different than the commercial, than the normal one for tables and beds. Basically, what you can do here, you have the same possibilities, but you can start actually with an empty cast unit. So your first station, your first basically station is not going to be available because maybe your first pallet, this is a pallet, your first pallet was, occupied for element from the previous day, right? And then you fill out basically the days in the system as much as possible. And of course, here you have actually the possibility to change automatically directly from here, move up and move down in the how do you call it, in the sequence that you are going to custom. So it is pretty simple. You get the extra option, everything else is the same, and also you can predefine tolerance in the beginning of the table. In my case now, I will just very quickly just press start. And now you see that my tables were being filled out with elements full, and if I go to the next day also, you will see that the next day is also filled with elements. I'll go back again. So what happens is now I have a project and I want to cast those elements in the forthcoming future. However, the software does not control. In a sense, you can do the controls, you can do everything that we do usually, but there is one little catch. The catch is it is an automated system, and the automated system is controlled by the pallets. So basically, every element here will be moved to different stations, right? And it will be continue until it goes to the curing chamber, and then basically a line here represents more or less how many places in the curing chamber we have that we can actually put at the same time. Sometimes it's 64, sometimes it's like 24, but it also always depends on how many pallets we have in the system. If we're not using all of our pallets, then we do not have to represent in the software all the pallets in the system. Anyways, I don't want to make it a big one, and I'm already see that more than 5 minutes talking about it. The software that controls the pallet system controls also impact. So what happens is when, for example, you stop for the day and you didn't produce, of course, all the elements that you have put in that day, but you produced up until here half of it, right? Then you can actually, then it comes automatically and it moves the elements to the next day. So you get to this queue and it gives an automatic move to next day, or of course you can do it manually. So when you say move to next day, it's not going to work like only this bed is going to move to next day. Everything from this and under here is going to be moved to the day after, or at least that's what I'm expecting to happen. So you see now, I clear my space. This doesn't matter. It's not mean that you have an empty space. It means that those pallets were not used for the day. So what you can actually do is fill out all of your beds here, and then every day that you're producing elements, then through the actual circulation system, you can move things, and you can move things to next day. And the next day you do this, and then you go this, and you move to the next day. And this is how it is. Very quickly, just to tell you how to create in the resource manager the pallets. Of course, you can do it one by one by going to the cast units and creating one by one. If I were you, I will just create, of course, a new division. Just you can call it whatever you want. Again, I'll call it circ, and then production. Assign it to the factory that I want to assign it. Save it, and then when I come to the cast units, I will find it. Say create pallets. Give the dimensions of my length and my distance and the width of the pallet, and what is the distance between the pallets you want to be, and what is the tolerance you want to be. So the visibility here, this is the distance between the pallets, and of course this is going to be the tolerance between your elements, forms, slabs, walls, or whatever. And while you do that, remember that the production stack count and the production stack size is basically 11 by 10. So it will create you 11 rows, right? And 10 pallets per row. Okay, so that's what it is. So you basically have 64 pallets, then you have to separate them. You can, of course, if they all fit in your curing chamber, you can make 1 by 64, but it's also not very easy to see 64 pallets in that sense. So if I were you, I will separate them in a derivative of 4 or 5 or something like that to make it look nice. Yeah, this is the tip of the week from me. I know it's a big one this time. I wish you all a great day. For you that are going on vacation, have a great vacation, and of course, even during the summer, we will make sure that if you open your LinkedIn and your YouTube, you will get a tip of the week. Have a great day. Bye bye. I'll see you soon.